Welcome to another video, A Walk with Phil, and today I'm in Albury. In fact, I'm here in Albury Town Centre. I'm on the car park of the what used to be known as Saver Centre, but now it's now called Sainsbury's. But back in the day when this place was being built, that was the time when there was some major demolition work was going in the town. In fact, it was so huge, this demolition, it just wiped away loads of buildings of heritage and history. And not only did the building of this place get rid of all these wonderful old properties and buildings, but also it eradicated whole streets such as Tabernacle Street, Union Street, Talbot Street, Inkerman Street, and of course these streets. Obviously, a lot of history along these streets, a lot of old buildings such as churches, schools, pubs, a bus station, and a hotel even. And they all more or less disappeared when they built the original Saver Centre. That wasn't the end of all the destruction in Albury Town Centre, obviously, because ahead of me is the retail park. Again, used to be the railway on there and all the goods sheds and such like. They all was demolished, and it's a big, really now. Albury Town Centre is just one huge shopping area now. So what I want to do in this video is try and show you where these old streets used to be, and where the buildings actually were on these streets as well. It is going to be a bit of a task to do it, but I think what we need to do here is really try and get a picture of what Albury Town Centre used to be like, because now when you come here it's all just nondescript now. It's got no soul, no character. It's just one big shopping area. So we'll have a look, see what we can find, see if we can find where all these old streets used to be. It's going to be a bit of a task, but we'll have a go. Anyway, let's go and find out what we can find here in Albury Town Centre. Well, I thought I'd start here near to the War Memorial. And before all this particular area was all pedestrianised around here, the island there where the War Memorial stands used to be a lot bigger. What I'm going to do is take you down Freeth Street, just down here, whereas we can say that Freeth Street still exists, but certainly doesn't exist in the form it once used to be. Just see the wagon and horses just ahead next to the Wetherspoons pub called the Court of Requests, and here is the White Swan. It's not the original White Swan. The original White Swan was on the left of Church Street, about halfway down. And there's the Job Centre Plus. I think next to Job Centre Plus we've got Kieran Hair and Beauty. I think that used to be a bank. And we have Birmingham Street just ahead of me. Where the Job Centre be, there once stood a pub there called the Old Talbot. When the Old Talbot was demolished on that corner ahead of me, it was in a right state, because a lot of the old buildings were neglected and left to more or less fall down before they eventually demolished them. And a case in point was the Old Talbot, because it had been standing there since 1850. It closed down in 1960, but it was 20 years before it was demolished. And just further on the left of Birmingham Street, which I won't be covering, but there used to be a pub down there called the Old Bull's Inn, and that had been there since 1811, and it closed in 2013. I think it's now an estate agent. But anyway, I'm going to go down Freeth Street first of all. Freeth Street formed a kind of triangular shape where Saver Centre is, because this was Freeth Street ahead. We're going to see if we can find the entrance to Inkerman Street, and then that would lead on to Talbot Street, which we'll see we can find where that could possibly be. Even this civic building here, the Sandwell Council House, that destroyed a fair few buildings when it was constructed, as well as a street called, was it Orchard Street or Orchard Road? You can see now this kind of lies back now, but this is the original route of Freeth Street, just ahead of me. And where I'm standing now would have been the entrance to a pub called the Albion Inn. Next to it would have been a restaurant and a bank at the corner of Freeth Street. Now I don't know what was left of what was along Freeth Street because obviously the council, when the council house was built, all this side was demolished as well. And I think there was probably a few shops along here as well as houses, but they've all, obviously there's nothing left. Where that white car is, I'm just going to show you that there used to stand the Oldbury Cinema, the last cinema standing of 3 that were in Oldbury Town. The first one was in the old, near to the Swan pub, but that disappeared in the 20s. The other one, I think it was called the Savoy, that was down Birmingham Street, that disappeared in the 50s. And this one just here where the white car is, this was the Palace, and the Palace disappeared in the late 70s, and then it became a bingo hall, casino. So the cinema would have been just around here. Half the building would have taken off the access road to the rear of Sainsbury's. Now where are we going to find Inkerman Street? Because Inkerman Street is now a road that has completely disappeared, and Inkerman Street would be just there where you can see this sign there, cycle path sign. It was just through those bushes there where Inkerman Street would have gone left off Freeth Street. Freeth Street itself would have gone a little further past this island where the canal used to run, and joined Dudley Road ahead, and the gasworks, Albury Gasworks over there in yonder on the left. So what we're going to do now is see if we can find any trace of Inkerman Street. I'm at the rear of Sainsbury's, and this is where their delivery vans are stored. And I'm looking at this access road. I was hoping that maybe this access road could have formed part of Inkerman Street, but sadly it's not. If we just pan round again, the road would have come through there, the Inkerman Street would have come through there, and it would have gone straight on through the building of Sainsbury's just ahead of me. And so all I can do is show you where Inkerman Street would have continued when I get round the back of this wall here ahead of me. Okay, so what I've done, I've just come up these steps here through one of the car parks at the back of Sabre Centre, and that's on the original lower level. Now when we've climbed the steps here, we've come up to an upper level. So all this car park here, the main car park for Sainsbury's, has been raised because they created more car parking underneath this particular car park. So we're not on the true elevation, but all we can say is that Inkerman Street came just through here towards me, and this is where Tabernacle Street now would go to the right. Now it's not, see, the thing is with Tabernacle Street, there's absolutely nothing left to suggest that Tabernacle Street ever existed, because it just goes through the actual Sainsbury's store itself. But what we can say is that just around here, just off Tabernacle Street, there used to be a Wesleyan a Methodist chapel just here, where this white car is, with a Sunday school a little bit further back, where that other white car is, where you can just see there. So that was one of the very one of the major buildings that were were destroyed when they built the supermarket. Now what I'm doing now, I'm walking along which would have been Inkerman Street, albeit on a higher level. I just want to take you to the end here and just show you what would have been ahead. And as you can see, this is kind of an entrance to this underground car park, and it's just here where the zebra crossing is. There used to be a pub that stood just there where the hedgerow is. That was called the British Lion. And the British Lion pub that used to be just there was there since 1861. It was in 1978 when it was demolished. So let's go and have a look and see if we get any idea of where Talbot Street used to run. Now I've already mentioned Tabernacle Street. Tabernacle Street is completely disappeared because Sainsbury's was built right on top of Tabernacle Street. So we can safely say that Inkerman Street came through just around here, and it would have continued over there, where at the end of Inkerman Street there would have been a pub called the British Lion. From there, from British Lion, there was another road called Talbot Street, and that would run diagonally across this car park. And just there where we've got the main entrance of Sainsbury's used to be the main bus station for Oldbury, and it would have two entrances, one from the Tabernacle side and the other from the Talbot Street side. So from this particular aspect of Oldbury Town, you can see we got the outdoor market here today, and just through here where this red tent is, that would have been the bus station just down there. So what you'd have now, where I'm standing here, you'd have Talbot Street coming towards me, and we'd have Tabernacle Street coming from through the Sainsbury's, and they would meet here in this kind of a triangular spot here where there used to stand a pub around about here somewhere. It was called the Why Not Inn, and that had been there from 1871, but it got demolished in around about the late 40s, 1940s I think. Anyway, I'm just going to have a look down here. I can show you this building called the Jack Judge House. He who supposedly wrote It's a Long Way to Tipperary. Now this is also the Black Country Coroner's Court. Is it still the court? But it certainly used to be a library, but it is no longer. They've moved that into the civic building, the town hall. And we've still got Lucy Thompson's there, something called Crown, and a supermarket, newsagents just there on the corner. Jack Judge House was built on the site, I think, of some shops. Just here where you can see that white van there, that used to be the site of the old Talbot, it used to be the site of the Talbot Hotel from 1825 until it was demolished in 1970. And you find it a lot of towns in the Black Country have had a lot of their history and heritage wiped out just to build a supermarket. And a case in point really is Darlaston. Awful what happened to Darlaston. I mean, when they built the supermarket Asda in Darlaston, you know, they wiped out huge amounts of history and heritage. And not only that, once Asda was built, it was running for a few years, and they even closed down for a time. And if the place isn't already a bit of a ghost town, it was a major ghost town when that happened, because they relied so heavily on the supermarket, and this is what this town does also. And now we've got the threat of Aldi, which is just over the road from Sainsbury's here in Oldbury. That could have a huge effect on Sainsbury's. So watch this space. I mean, if Sainsbury's ever disappeared from here, what do you think this place would look like? Anyway, we'll leave it at that. Well, there's my little attempt to try and describe to you where these three very important roads used to run, which they used to triangulate around the Sainsbury's supermarket. But now it's, as you can see, it's almost nigh on impossible to do so. But in the process of building Sainsbury's, it destroyed many buildings, as I've said earlier, you know, such as the churches and pubs and shops. And one of the things they do when they build these large supermarkets in town, they leave nothing behind of what used to be. There's no trace of any of these roads, such as Tabernacle and Talbot, Hunt Street, you know, Inkerman Street. They've completely been obliterated and totally removed from the maps. All modern maps now have no trace of any of those very famous roads here in Albury. So you can see this is what they do. When some of these supermarkets move in, they rewrite history. And so we'll have to leave it at that. And if you like the video, hit the like button and also hit subscribe and hit the notification bell for new videos. And I'll see you on the next one.